It's live now.
Okay.
Yeah, making you the host. Sent you the stream link on chat.
Thanks.
It's live now.
Mm-hmm.
Making you the host. Sent you the stream link on chat.
Thanks.
Oh, so it's coming again on the.
Hi everyone. We will begin the session in next 4 minutes. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. We will begin the session in next 2 minutes. We will begin in next 1 minute. All right. A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm Ankita from NASSCOM Product Skill Development Team. Today, we are going to have our second episode from our finely curated PM 101 series with a very sought after topic, product management career path. To deliver this amazing session, I have with me Suman Chittimuri, Director of Product Management in Microsoft India. The session will be very interactive. You can ask questions anytime during the webinar. Suman will try to cater to them in that point in time. Also, please do not forget to leave your feedback to help me better my future episodes. Welcome, Suman, and over to you.
Thank you. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes,
Okay.
audience.
Can any one of you? Yes, we can. Yes. So let's
Yeah.
get started. Thanks for all joining on a very busy weekday. It really shows how much you are really serious about this career. And I think I will try to do my best to share my learning and ensure that you get a feel of what is product management is all about, what does career path look like, what choices you have to make, and how can you excel. Let's say you are already in a product manager, what is that we can do differently to get excel in this role, right? I'll walk you through this journey. Let's keep it interactive. Please pouring in your questions, and if you can stop me at any point of time, we can have interactive discussion. Okay. With that, let me just introduce myself. Right. I'm with Microsoft little more than 4 years. It is close to 5 years now. I'm a PM leader in one of the products that we manage internally. Prior to this, I was with ADP and HCM SaaS offering company. I was a group product manager. Prior to that, I was an engineering manager. I had a decade of career at ADP, played various roles. Prior to that, I was with Oracle India, Wipro, and Satyam. I did my engineering. I have a executive program from IMB. I am a PG in product management and product marketing, and deeply passionate about mentoring and coaching people. As a weekend, I train a cohort of PMs for a weekend. So that's been my journey so far. With that, I have enough experience to share my journey and then to get into the career pathing of PM. Right. So let's start. Why do you think? Why product management? What does it immediately reflect on you when you say why product management? Can can folks type in? What do you think? Why product management? Why product management is important in this current context?
Audience, you can use your chat window and speak with Suman.
Okay, nice put. Okay, one person. I think Maruti is giving a good input. Good, keep coming in. Nice. So let me start with what I have. Right, there are two important dimensions that I always keep sharing. If somebody asks me why product management, I always throw these two options to them. Product management ensures a market driven approach. If you see historically, any company, any startup, anybody who has been successful wildly because only because they were consumer driven, they were market driven, right? So if you have somebody, a PM can champion the market driven approach, it will be a great product management. So product management is about empathizing deeply with the customer, ensuring that you understand the entire user journey, and then bring in the right problems and identify the right problems and work on the right problems, right? That is the key of why a product management is needed, right? And then I always keep hearing that product management slows us down. Product management is no value, right? One, I already cleared why we need a market driven approach. If you see any company out there which has been successful heavily is because they have kept customer at their center, right? Another thing is improve time to everything. we, can it be a vision exercise, identifying a right vision, identifying a product strategy, identifying a right product map, identifying what features need to work on, what is the MVP look like, what is the minimum viable thing that a user is looking for, a customer is looking for, and go iterate quickly on it, do something quickly and test it and come back and iterate. At each and every aspect of productizing is what product management does, and it will improve time to everything. So PMs typically we try to operate in quarter by quarter. So we product management expects to land something and learn from it by sprint, depending on how much sprint you are, whether it's a 2 week sprint, a month sprint. Some companies do it a 3 months check-in, right? So broadly, this is the two things that I would say why a product management is important. Make sense? Yeah, we will talk about strategy, focus, and everything, but high level, these are the two things. There are so many other reasons, but I think these are two important aspects of why product management. So if tomorrow, if somebody is already, if you're already PM, well enough, but let's say if you're getting into a PM and somebody asks you why product management, you can copy, replicate this, and you will earn a credit. Before jumping into product management career path, let's understand what does a product manager do. So I found a very beautiful illustration like this, right? So let's say if you're working in a startup, right? All these four circles will come together and being a product manager, right? Let's say if you're working in a growing company, there'll be a product marketing, right? But let's say if you're working in a corporate setup like me, you have a liberty of having a UX designer, a program manager, a product marketer, and then a product, and then product management. First, let's understand the core of PMing, right? The core of product management is all about defining the right product vision, translating into a meaningful, sensible roadmap. It can be a 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, and break it down into a manageable scope. And then within that prioritize the backlog, right? And another beautiful thing is unblock the engineering team. So once you give a backlog, engineers will keep coming back to you and asking for so many clarifications. So it is as a PM, you have to responsible to unblock devs so that they can deliver what you wanted. And KPIs, defining the right KPIs is the key success criteria of a PM. Now this is a core of a PM, right? But let's say if you see the left of the circle, which is converged, which is merging with UX designing, right? Product manager has to equally participate in user research. In some cases, you have to drive the user research, right? You have to develop the customer. So when let's say you are in a product where you are making creating a new market, that's when you create new customers for you. That's what customer development means. You do user testing at every stage of your productizing process. You have to go and do a user testing, right? There are a bunch of user testing out there. We'll not get into details, but that is what user test is. And obviously, you are the responsible for wireframing, identifying right personas. That's on the left, right? Let's look at the program management aspect. You as a PM, you have to ensure that you are shipping on time. You know exactly how to make things happen, right? And then you should have a good eye of estimation, high level estimation, but it doesn't need to get in details, but it's a joint effort. That's on a little bit of program management. Now let's look at the right, which is product marketing. Product manager plays a key role in understanding the market, right? Influence what is the right go-to-market strategy. Product marketer and product manager has to work hip on hip very closely to define the road go-to-market strategy. You should understand your competition landscape. You understand what is the benchmarking today. You should train your sales streams. You should product manager will influence pricing. Product manager will also work with sales and marketing team to position right on value positioning, value propositions. And obviously you'll be doing a lot of demos, product demos, right? So if you're aspiring PM or a product manager, you have to have a wide understanding of all of this. And if you're a PM at a different level, I'm sure you're almost resonating what I'm talking about. And this can vary a little bit from a B2B, B2C, and an internal product. I'll talk about it a little bit. So I'll take a minute a brief here. Shweta is saying she can't hear. Anybody else others can hear?
Yes, Suman, you're audible.
Okay, so I'll take a minute to talk, a second here. Any thoughts on this slide? What do you think? Is it resonating? Do you appreciate now what a product manager does or expected to do? Sorry. Okay, so let's move on. So McKinsey did a survey uh, globally. Is there a question? Vinu is asking a good question. Is it only software? I don't think this is applicable only to software, whether it is in hardware or a software hardware combination, or even Unilever or whatever. But some of the nuances may change. Right? UX. When I say UX, doesn't always need to be doesn't always need to be a UI or a web or a mobile. It can be a physical product as well. Where would developer fit in here? Okay, Rohit is asking where would developer fit in. See, developer, when I say unblocking engineering, a developer, that's where you're working with your Scrum team on a daily basis to unblock them, right? That's where you're working with the developer. So moving on, McKinsey did a survey on what are the typical average time that a PM spends, right? So let's spend some time on each of this, right? 18% of time a PM would spend on defining a product strategy, right? And then the next big activity will be the engaging with the customers. Because if you're not engaging with the customers, you will not appreciate what is happening. What is their day-to-day life? A PM should be a deep champion of the customer and the users. And the next activity is obviously reviewing the metrics. Are we heading in the right direction? Is product heading in the right direction? Is product market fit happening? Is growth happening? Are we meeting our guidelines? Right. So those are the metrics that you are actually not reviewing internally. You are reviewing with your own leadership as well. Right. Another big activity is researching the market and competition. Market and competition is always changing, right? You don't know where the competition can come from, right? And you don't know how market is changing. So it is always important for a PM to be on the market, to understand the market and to understand the competition. PM also spends pricing and packaging. So you see only 2%, right? Typically what I've seen is, in my experience, I am only the contributor to the pricing. Typically there is a PM specifically for pricing, or there's a team which defines the pricing. And especially in a SaaS world, it is you're learning as we go, right? So pricing and packaging, another activity. Obviously, depending on which level you are in, you are doing a team management, you're hiring, you're recruiting, and all that stuff. And the large part of activity is planning and maintaining and roadmap, right? And another big activity is collaborating with other functions. This is very critical expectation of a PM, and it defines the success of a PM is ability to collaborate with multiple functions. It can be it can be your own engineering team, it can be your launch team, it can be a marketing team, it can be a legal team, it can be operations, it can be sales. There will be multiple functions depending on which context you're operating, right? So you should be able to collaborate successfully, meaningfully with these functions. And obviously, the 14% of time is spent on product requirements. And then major time is spent on specing the document, writing the technical and design functions, right? And then collaborating on it. So if you see typically, depending on which level, let's say you're starting at a very low level, low grade of a PM, this percentages can vary. And let's say you are at a VP or a director of a product management, the percentage that you spend can vary. Okay, so don't take these numbers, take this as a reference, but end of the day, you as a PM, you are spending most of the time on these activities. Okay, I'll take a pause and see if there are any questions. How about customer engage? Yeah, customer engage is there. I did call out that customer is a key. Without that, you're not successful, right? If you go back to my previous slide, the job you are actually is defining. Without engaging with customers, you'll not able to do any of these activities. So engaging the customers is very, very important. Okay, let me present you a different three types of an archetypes of product manager exists out there, right? One is technologist, right? You're deeply technical, you're working on technology products, right? Uh, it You have to be really hands-on. right? Not hands-on. I would say you should understand the technology trends. It can be uh, Microsoft Azure, VMware, Amazon Web Services. These are the examples where you're purely technologist, right? And there is another role where it is called generalist. You are both business savvy and as well as technical depth, right? You are B2C and some kind of B2B as well, right? So Facebook, LinkedIn, Airbnb falls under that bucket. And then lastly, business oriented, where it is heavily oriented on a business, right? You are actually solving a business problems, right? Where Salesforce, Chase, those are the products that come in. If you see, doesn't matter which archetype you fall under, the expectations of a PM or product lifecycle manager will remain same. However, how you play with each of those or each of those segments will be little different, right? B2B, B2C, technology, generalist, business oriented. So the nuances may be different, but underlying product management principles are very similar. Okay. Okay. Now that we understand what does a PM do, what does typical PM life look like, and what are the different types, what are the key skills expected, right, from a PM? One, let's start with this order, right? You should be customer oriented. You should always be thinking about customer centric design, right? You should always make decisions around customer. Deep understanding of customer is very important. So spend as much time possible with your internal customers, external customers. If it is B2B, you talk to your class customers. If it is B2B, go and meet the customers in their place. Let's say if you are a healthcare startup, go and meet the people who are actually making decisions while in their life, right? Let's say if you're a ERP or a CRM, talk to your customers daily basis, right? Or you can talk to your support. There are so many ways you can build this muscle, right? Market orientation, the second skill. You should be able to deeply understand your market trends, your your partner ecosystem or a competitive strategies is very, very important that you should have a market orientation. Business acumen, right? This is a critical. If you want to be a top 1% PM, you have to have a business acumen. You should be very comfortable with business strategy, how to look at the portfolio prioritization, what is a go-to-market strategy should look like, what should be pricing, what are the key financial indicators that you should capture, and you should report out, right? This is a business acumen. This is very, very important. There are a lot of folks reached out to me when I'm mentoring. Hey, Suman, tell me whether I'm not from a technical background, but can I be successful as a PM? Right now, if you see any product, it is built on technology, right? More or less, any product. Even if you take a physical product, there is always some bend of technology. So you should have a deeper understanding of technology trends. You should be able to have the meaningful conversation with engineers on technology, right? You should have a deeper understanding of your product. What is limitations of your technology, limitations of your product, so that you can sell well or pitch well to your customers. You should be able to manage the entire development life cycle. Without having a technology skills, I think it is not successful. You will not be successful to manage the entire development life cycle. Okay. And finally, obviously, it's a leadership role. Product management comes with a leadership role. It is whether you are managing people, you're not managing people, you're influencing the product. You are a make or break of your company, of a group. So soft skill is pretty important. You should be able to lead the teams, communicate with diverse groups, and both internally and externally. The as this the indicator of soft skill, as you move up the ladder, which we talk about in the recent next slides, as you move up the ladder, soft skills is very, very important. I think pretty much not just PM, but if you want to evolve in any leadership role, I think the soft skill is very, very important. Any thoughts on skill on this slide or in this content so far? Prachi is asking, what are the key financial metrics one should consider looking periodically? So depending on, let's take a financial product. Let's say cred. I don't know how many of people use cred as an app, right? If cred is mostly to manage credit cards, let's say it's a credit card, right? How do you manage? How do you see this? How do the PM of a cred understand that cred is successful or not, right? First of all, how many folks are onboarded, right? And how many people are engagedly using credit card payments transactions through credit platform, right? And how much insights that you're giving are actually meaningful to the users. Those are simple examples, but Prachi, the topic is very broad. So depending on the context of the product and the system that you're in, the metrics may change, right? But it is very meaningful. You can get it. How to build them? I think Sushma is asking a very good question. How to build them and enhance the skills? We will touch upon it, but you have to, I think it's better that you understand these skills, and we will touch upon highly how to build all this, right? Does domain knowledge play an important role for PM? Absolutely, Yatendra. Domain knowledge is very, very critical, right? Let's say if you want to be in insurance industry, needs to be an expert in insurance, you can, you should, right? You should have at least understanding of what does insurance mean, what does industry today, what are the players, what are the key pain points. Without that, I don't think you will be successful, right? So you have to build that muscle, Yatendra. Sri Vijay is asking, please share the YouTube. I think Ankita, can you share the YouTube link over
Yeah,
here?
I'm just sharing.
Okay, moving on. How do we transition? I think this is the core of the presentation today, right? How do we transition to product managers? There are various roles that you can think about product management. When I started my product management career 8-9 years back in India, it was not that open. The product management career path was not that open, and we didn't had avenues like this, like what NASSCOM is trying to create. We didn't have platform like this, so we had to self-explore in India. But markets like US and other countries have evolved a little bit, and there is an appetite today to consider product management from any background, right? When I say any background, well, the title that I've called, you can be an engineer, you can be an UX designer, you can be a project manager, you can come from a program management background, you can be a product analyst, you can be a business analyst, you can also be a product marketing manager, you can be a business development manager today, right? You can transition to product management, right? But the journey will not be easy because obviously, the product management roles are limited, and getting to that, you need to start building the skills from today. So let's take an example. Let's say if you're a product analyst and you want to get into product management, I would say that move to a company where it has both product analyst or a business analyst and a product management role. Start with what you know and aspire to what you have, right? So start building on what you have, and within the work, start within your company, and then once you get a PM, and then you can move on. So there are different ways to get it, but to start with, these are the different roles that can enable you to come product management, right? Where to start? I think Shweta is asking, how do we develop business acumen? So there are different ways. Let's say, Shweta, let's say you belong to let's say manufacturing, right? You start with your own company, right? How do you know what is happening, what is new in manufacturing, right? What is the overall market of manufacturing, what are different segments of manufacturing, right? So those are very important. Yeah, we will talk about how do we transition it. So I think there are a lot of questions coming in. I would say start with your own company, right? Or figure out a company where you have both business analyst and a product manager role. Start with the business analyst, start building, and have a structural program. So there are multiple ways, right? One, I would always say, I think in the last session, you would have heard how to transition to product management. What are the different ways? So one way I always keep telling my mentees is that take up case studies, create your own portfolio, publish it in your LinkedIn, create your own digital media, uh, create your own Google Drive, right? Create the case studies, solve the case studies, and then publish it, and then it'll the once you start publishing it, once you cracking the case studies, you'll become more confident, right? And one tip I always telling is keep starting with your own company internally. And if you think there is no chance in your internal company right now, move to a company where it offers both the roles, because transition to something which you know is easier. And then I've seen people moving to taking up an IMB programs or ISB programs and switching to product management. There's another way to do it, but I think the percentage is very less, right? Okay, now let's assume now that you're already getting into product management, or some of you are already into product management career, typically what is that product management career path look like? Right? If you see on the left navigation, it is about the mastering the PM craft, right? The reason I say PM craft is what I've realized over the period of time. PM is in art and science. So if you have to build the craft, you have to get better at both art and science. So as you get better at this PMing craft, you can move up the different ladders. Let's say you also have an ambition of a PM people leadership. You can change the role and you can also become a mastery of a PM and as well a people leadership, right? So what I'll do is I'll just spend time on each of this and set the expectation on what each role is expected to do, and then we can talk about next steps. So let's start with the leaf level. What is associate product management? What is expected from associate product manager, right? Associate product manager expected to own and deliver a well-scoped items under the guidance of other PMs, other lead senior PMs, right? Helps execute a strategy set by the team. Strategy is all set up. Associate product manager is contributing to the strategy, right? And then trying to build the muscle of customers and trying to advocate the customers. And then trying to participate cost cross stream processes, whether it is marketing, operations, sales, or whatever. So once you do better at it, what is expected from a PM product manager, there's a next level, right? Now you're leading a small engineering team with the guidance. The very important step at this level is your ability to set the OKRs and KPIs. When I say OKRs is there's a OKR framework. If you Google it, you'll find it. OKR is objective key results framework. You should be able to set the OKRs working with closely with your leads. You should be able to share specific learning, specific case studies to your PM team so that you know that you're learning and sharing, right? And you're now at this point, you're becoming more investing more into customers. Can associate PM is playing similar roles such as business analyst? We'll talk about it, but my understanding is business analyst is more towards internal focused. Associate PM is more towards customer and market focused, right? So we'll talk about it, right? But you're right. You can always see that. And then once you move up a little bit, right? What is expected from a senior PM? Here you are managing the team independently, right? And you are setting the OKRs and KPIs. You are now getting a deeper understanding. You are getting champion of you are the champion of the customer, right? You are prioritizing the roadmap. So this is where you're prioritizing effectively. So as a senior PM, you're expected to lead the teams independently. You're expected to set the OKRs and measure the OKRs. You're expected to call out the insights and you measure the insights like on as a product line, right? And then you are effectively prioritizing the roadmap items. Now, what happens is once you move to the next level, which is principal, which is a very at a high level, right? You are owning a large, complex cross-item and cross-functional initiatives. You're contributing to product line strategy. You're prioritizing across the teams. You are a role model of UX scoping and see. This is very important, right? You are elevated to a role model of UX scoping and execution. People should look up to you to be at this level. Now, the second and the next bullet is very important. You are identifying the unmet needs that of the customers. That this is very important. You can only develop once you have a deeper understanding of customers. You're mentoring teams across the company. You're advocating customers across the company. You're influencing across the company, right? So at this level, whether you're a people manager, director, or a senior principal product manager, the only difference is at a director, people manager, you're also managing team of a PMs. But in a principal IC, you're expected to do what I'm talking about. Now, let's talk about the last, not the last, but the least. If you're a vice president, you're expected to do, you have to create an inspiring product vision for future product direction. You should be recognized as a subject matter expert internally and externally. You should be established as a thought leader in the market, right? You should be able to attract talent and pull that. And then I like this word, right? You should be a very strategic chess master. What does it mean? You should recognize the customer industry trends and you should foresee the opportunities and play the game well. you're getting better at this game, right? That's where you're mastering the PM craft and you're able to influence people and get things done. Right? This is a brief, every company, every large company, every small company has a different flavors of the career path, but more or less the expectations at different level are pretty much fall under the same bucket that I've called out, right? I will stop for a minute. Any reflection, any thoughts, anything that you wanted to know on this? One thing that I want to call out, product management role has been a very unstructured, that not been defined in too many companies at so far, and companies are getting better day by day, right? Uh, it's a very tough role because the expectations sometimes can be vague, right? Uh, so as we grow up in this ladder, you have to understand the dynamics of the company, dynamics of the product, and dynamics of the people. So Disha is asking a good question. Uh, Product owner. Okay. See, my understanding is product manager umbrella that I've covered includes product owner. There's a subtle difference between product management and product owner. Product owner looks works towards engineering, works closely with engineering, technical product management, creating features, creating user stories, running scrums, uh, talking through, validating it. But product management is all about, on top of the product ownership role, you're also looking outward. You're taking that what was built by the team, taking it out and launching it, learning it from the customers, iterating on it, and bringing back the learnings, right? That's where the subtle difference between product owners and product managers, right? It is vaguely defined, but product owners is mostly, this is what I've seen in my previous company. Product owners is about managing the product internally, right? And then product management is mostly managing externally. I think Disha also, who was Shanmuga, wanted to see the director role. Okay, Shanmuga, I've opened up the director role. Okay, I think Prachi is asking a good question. So Prachi, things, I told you, right? Things are getting better in India right now. So if you can show that PM product mindset, right, you can actually move at any level, any ladders, right? Uh, Varun, you're a technical manager. I think there are many questions. We can talk about it. So what I'll do is I'll complete the slides and we'll come back to the question, right? So now that, so let's talk about what we have done so far, right? We have, I've introduced you to why product management, what is expectation of a product manager, right? What does a typical day of a product manager look like, right? And what are the different types of product managers? What is the 5 key skills that are needed to be successful in product management, right? And then what are different roles that you can transition into a product management? What does career path of product management look like, right? And then we'll talk about typically what has been transitioning out, right? Where does product manager end up eventually, right? What I've seen is, once you get better at PMing craft, the world is yours. You can do many things, right? One couple of examples that I've seen is, you can dream to be or aspire to be a CXO. It can be a CEO, it can be a CPO or a CEO. I've thrown you some examples here who in their past world, in the experience, they have been product managers in their previous experience and then eventually got to CEO, right? I've seen a lot of PMs starting their own company and have been successful heavily because they know the PMing. They know how to build the product. They know how to create the product. They know how to understand the customer. They know how to understand, build the customer. They know how to create the markets, right? And if you see examples here, they have been PMs and they've created their own company and they have been heavily successful. You can drive strategy. There are people who have been driving strategy for companies, right? And I've seen another good skill, or I would say career emerging, is investment. You can invest. You can be a venture capitalist. You can invest in others. I've quoted some examples here who have been PMs, but now they're investing. And they can be a chief product owner. You can be a chief operating officer as well. But if you see very interestingly, right, uh, all examples that I've seen are from globally. Are there any examples in India right now? There are plenty of examples in India right now. There are so many folks I have seen. I have been working with them in my uh, past in my hobby time. I've been talking to them. There are a lot of people who have been PMs and they've started their own companies right now, right? So it is an emerging in India trend. So I have given you three wider umbrellas, right? How to get into product management? How do you? What is a career path in product management look like? And how can what is it? What does it look like if you have to transition out of a product management? Okay. Okay. How do I excel in this role? So whether you're a PM or a not, right? Whether you can be a tech, you can be an engineering manager, you can be a technology manager, you are a business analyst, you are a product analyst. Doesn't matter where you are, but you can start exhibiting these skills right away. Not all of them, but few of them. But how do you excel as a peer? Start disengaging with tactical firefighting. See, most of us are mostly inclined about solving the solutions right away, right? So leave it to the right teams. Let the right teams work on tactical firefighting. You work towards longer term, launching the product, learning from the product, and and be more outward, more looking at a long term approach, right? Second thing is you should be a data cruncher. You should love the data, right? There's a lot of data out there, whether it is secondary research, primary research, or your own product data, your own company data. Start loving that product numbers, start generating the insights. Once you show starting the insights to your leadership, to your team, just believe me, they will fall in love with you, right? Because now you are showing, you are making decisions based on data, right? Another skill you need to build is you need to be customer champion. You need to understand customers. So the way I do is every week I go and meet 4 or 5 my users. I sit in their support calls. I listen to them. I talk to them. I talk to business leaders and understand how market is disrupting. Right, take that and bake into the backlog. Right, you should always be strategic. So the mean strategic is not easy, but you have to understand what is your product, what is the value that you're giving to your customer. That value proposition you have to review every time. The reason is your customer is changing every time, right? You are not dealing with the customer, same customer all the time, right? One example that I give you, if you see any Colgate toothpaste ads, right? I'm just giving an ads an example. They keep bombarding with a lot of ads to you on the TV or any media that you interact with. Why do you think they do it? Because they know that a lot of new millennial is entering into the market, and they need to keep always informing that what value that they are bringing in, and they keep on differentiating with the competition with the value that they're bringing. So coming back to PMing, you should always evaluate what is the strategic intent of your product and how do you ensure that you are still relevant and not getting extinct in the product market. You should be a leader to, you should provide leadership to a product, whether it can be a technology, it can be UX, it can be a product, it can be operations, it can be sales, it can be pricing. You should build that entire general high level skills, right? one of the One of the key skill that I've seen a lot of PMs failing, and I'm trying to get better at it, is communicating everything, right? You should be able to communicate to an engineer, to an engineering leader, to your business leader, to product analyst, to CEOs, or to external world. So the communication at a different level is different, and you should be able to communicate very comfortably at every time. And believe me, this is not easy. This is one thing that you need to constantly do every day. Communication can be writing emails, presentations, talking through one-on-ones. It can be any way of communication, right? Finally, I live with one thought, right? As a PM, you have to have an I. You have to remember this, right? What does an I mean, right? The top bar of I As a PM, you should always have your head in the cloud. What does it mean? You should be strategic. You should be understanding what is happening in the market, what is happening with the customers, how are they changing, what is changing. Based on that, you develop and communicate the vision, right? And then on the bottom bar, your feet on the ground, you know exactly what is being, you should be detailed. You should be able to give right specs. You should be able to write specs, detailed specs to the folks that are who are developing, right? Understand the complexity of building. Bottom line, you should know how to ship. If you don't know how to ship, you cannot be a PM because you're just talking in the air. So you should be able to connect both. That's a bar, horizontal bar that I'm talking about, right? You should be visionary, strategic. At the same time, you should have a ground on the feet and execute on the ground, a ship on the ground. You should be always be building this muscle. Okay. I think I'll stop at this point. I want to understand. I think there are a lot of questions. So Ankita, how do you want to take the questions? I'm pretty much done with my slides.
All right, Suman, thank you so much for this fantastic presentation. There are 19 questions over here. So, how do you suggest, shall I narrate them for you, or you want to pick and choose the relevant ones and move ahead?
Why don't you give it a shot? Why don't you read it for me? I'm
All
reading.
right, thank you. Let's just go. So, there's one question by Sumit. He's asking, should PM manage the entire product development life cycle?
Product management, product manager. See, typically there are three parts, right? Why, what, and how. In a problem space, PM should always be defining the why and what. You should leave how to an engineering. You can be an engineer. You should have been. You might have been an engineer. You can always contribute to the. But there are smart people out there, right? You can always contribute, but I would leave it to the how part to the engineer. So do I need to manage the entire life cycle of product management? Yes, absolutely yes. But should you get into nitty-gritties of how a technical architecture decision is made? Maybe not, but you should know, you should aware, because you have to know the limitation the team is building, but so that you don't promise something to the engine to the customer that is not working, right? Okay, let's take
Thanks,
a next.
Suman. Next question is for an aspiring product manager who is currently working as a developer, is doing an MBA the way to go out to gain some depth in business strategies?
Now, see, today today the today the world is pretty much the information is out there. You don't need to get into it to start with, right? You don't need to get into an MBA to develop the business acumen. There are so many courses out there. You can go to Coursera, you can go to Udemy, you can go to edX, whatever. You can learn 101 courses sitting at your home today, which we didn't have privileges 10 years back, right? But now you can sit in your, you can learn the entire things from uh, from home, right? Other thing that you should build is, if you're an engineer, you should talk to your leadership. You should talk to the person who is giving you requirements. You should talk to your CEO and understand, hey, how the hell you make the decision? How are you making this prioritization? Why do you ask me to develop this, right? What do you think the value will get out of this, right? So as an engineer, you should ask the why part of it more often, so that you understand what value one piece of line of code that you're writing, what does it translate the value to the product or to the company or to the business, right? As long as you keep asking this, you will develop that business acumen. Now the question of having, hey, should I do an MBA? Why not? If em, learning shouldn't stop, but are, depending on what MBA, what level you are in, what is that you want to spend, how much time you want to spend, there are so many ways to do it. But to ask me to understand or develop business acumen, no, you don't need to have an MBA.
Thanks, Suman. The next question is, should product manager must involve in day-to-day activities with the development team or the entire team?
I would say, again, coming back to my previous response, right? You should be very clear when you're writing your specs, when you're writing your user stories, when you're writing your features. You should be very, very, very clear, so that you're not burning your hours in a day-to-day interactions, right? You should be able to walk through, and engineers should be able to get there what they want. Now, depending on the context of the team, let's say you have a new team and they don't know what you're talking about, it takes some time to, so that you need to spend some time with them. Let's say you have a mature team, you just tell one liner, they will know. So I have seen the both the ends of the world, right? There is one scenario where I have a team, I just say one sentence, they pick up it and build it. But there is a new team, I have to detail it out, spec it out, and call out the metrics. So I would say when you're defining your product spec or requirements, be as detailed as possible, be structural as possible, so that you don't need to spend more of time with your engineers.
Thanks, Suman. The next question is, can someone from technology consulting with 11 years of experience transition to product management?
I'll tell you my experience, right? I was a consultant, I was an architect, I was an engineer, and then luckily serendipity fall in place. My leadership, I worked out with leadership. I was able to transition into product management within my own company, because I was able to establish the credibility. There's a leadership alignment and all this stuff. So if you have a right product mindset, and if your company as an umbrella already offers that role, why not go and start asking for that role today and prepare for that role from today? Now, your question is, if your company doesn't have it, what should I do? Then start preparing from that role from today, right? And if you're really, really passionate about this role, you can start preparing from all role today. There are so many structured programs. Tune into the NASSCOM platform. NASSCOM platform has signed up for a beautiful program. You're going to introduce to various topics. Just listening to this channel, I think by end of the next 10, 15 series, I don't know how many Ankita is planning to do, but by end of this series, you will exactly know the end-to-end PMing language, right? And after that, you can pick up, you can decide, this is too much, I can't do it. But somebody say, I love this, now I can go deeper into this, right? So tune into this, or you can build from yourself.
Thanks,
Ankita,
Suman. Just adding it that PM 101 series has 25 episodes. This is the
awesome.
second, so stay tuned and we'll be there for you. Okay, the next question is, do we need to stick to one domain for becoming product manager?
I would say yes. I would say to start with, right? There's nothing harm in going on domains, correct? But to crack into PM, it is always stick to one dimension which is not changing, which is domain. You should come across as, what, I know in and out of this business, I know in and out of this industry, I know in and out of this competition, I know who are the startups, I know what are the alternatives available, I know what are the customer pain points. So it is better to start building the what you know, latch on to that, and then do a jump, right? Let's say if you're in a gaming world, better at gaming, right? Let's say you're in a B2B ERP space, get better at that space, right? Let's say you're in a B2C and you are an engineer or a sales marketing product analyst in a B2C, get better at the space, build on that, and then you can move the domains. But is it a must? No, but I would say that's the easiest way to start with.
Thank you, Suman, for this answer. The next question is, will the project management come in the scope of product manager in case of new product rollouts?
Obviously, awesome question. I think, let me just go back to my slide very quickly. I touched upon it, but let's use that as a reference. So Ankita, can you confirm if you can see my Venn diagram?
Yes, yes.
So I talked about it in a startup or in some companies, there might be no formal project manager or program manager role, right? In that case, yes, you may have to manage that dependencies, resourcing, and especially in a startup world, you should be wearing hats, all the hats, so you should expected to do that, right? But let's say if you're getting into some mature companies, then there you have a typical program management. You can delegate certain roles to program management. But depending on V0, V1, within V0, depending on the company, this roles, this particular program management, project management is vaguely defined. Okay, I'll take the next question.
Uh, Thanks. The next question is by Ravi. Even after communicating the product value and vision and how to change the management perspective to venture in new technologies and platforms from what they are doing routinely through years?
that's a I think that's a very good question, right? I'll latch onto the last slide.
Yeah, it's visible.
So in this scenario, right? What you should do, you should you should define, not don't say, hey, go and adopt this technology. That shouldn't work. That will not work. You should be able to paint the problem statement saying that, you know what, with the current technology choice, right? Let's say uh, there can be a lot of operation issues, there are a lot of ticketing issues, you're not able to scale, you're not able to move faster, you're not able to deploy features quickly, you are getting irrelevant. All these data points, right? You should pack it up. You should say, hey, with this, these are the challenges, and put quantification around it, and tell a story around it saying that if you don't invest today into the, if the technology makes sense, whatever technology that you're thinking of makes sense, you should be able to tell the story in that way. Start finding an ally in your company who, don't go and sell it for everybody in your company, right? Start with a key influencer. Understand, maybe it can be an architect, it can be an engineering leader. Start playing with them and put your story and refine your story. Take them along. So once you take them along, once you have these data points, once you understand the customer and put a customer hat and say, hey, by if you don't do this, we are going to lose this market, we are going to lose this customers, we are going to be irrelevant. If you can get all those data points and sell it along with the team to the right people, I think you have a case. Okay.
Thanks, Suman. Next question is Rachita is asking, a lot of companies has lead product owner and product management manager role amalgamated. So how do you create balance and be effective?
Huh. So if you see, I was talking about this, right? So typically, when I say lead product manager, you're people manager, right? And then a program product manager, IC, you're actually IC, right? So if you're not deeply passionate about managing people, then I would say shy away from it. Don't take it. Don't get into people management role, right? But if you love people management, if you want to learn through people managers, and then at the same time you also love product management, then take up that role, right? You have to strike the balance. It depends on what is your choice. If you deeply passionate about product and people, then people management in PM is good for you. But if you think that people management, I'm not ready for people management yet, I don't enjoy that role, because I've seen in Microsoft a lot of people, this they're allowed to be an IC, they continue to be IC at a senior level, and they add a lot of value. So depending on your context, depending on a choice, I will make choice decision around it.
Thanks, Suman. Next question is, can you tell some tips to get venture capitalists convinced on product ideas and also some insight on full cycle of VCs to get the funding?
Okay, that's altogether a big topic of how to pitch to the investors and get fundings. Maybe we can connect offline, or maybe there's a different session, Ankita. But PM, you should be able to tell the right stories, whether it is investor or to a founders or to a CEOs. You should be able to tell the right story. You should be able to package it well. But to answer your specific point, I think it needs a lot of time. I don't think there's a platform to talk about it and how to pitch to investors. But to summary, right, you need to, what investors will look at, what problem you're solving for, how big is the problem, why are you, why you are equipped to solve the problem, right? And is there a market fit? Is there a signal that are coming from market, right? And how quickly you can go, and what is the traction that you have done so far. So these are the, and in fact, if you see in the product management context, whether you are at a startup or an internal setup, these are the 5 6 questions that every leader asks. So if you can nail this, I think you can pitch to investor as well. Hope I answer your question in a short way.
Thanks, Suman. Anoop is asking, do you suggest that being a product owner is a natural transition for a BA role? Kindly advise.
I've see product owner or a product management role is a very thankless, tough job I've seen. From a business analyst, you can obviously attempt to get into product management because you already know how to break down the features, you know how to break it down to user stories, you know a lot of data analysis you're doing, right. But transitioning in product manager, you need to build that another extra layer of how to define the strategy, how do I understand the market, how do bring it back the value that I'm getting from engineering to customers. So those are the gap that you need to build, and maybe with a structured program, maybe going through your own case studies and publishing your own case studies, maybe you can evolve in your own company to be a product owner or a product manager.
Thanks, Suman. Next question is that what are the tools available for a product manager?
uh, okay, I think there are different to get into product management or to succeed as a product management. Is it both or what is it, Ankita?
Is just what are the tools available for a product manager? Sham
Okay,
Krishna, can you just elaborate on your question? In the meantime, I would suggest let's move on to the next question. Okay, Sham is saying for doing both the functionalities.
okay. So to to start with the PMing, right? To start how to get into PM, how to get the muzzle of a PM. There are so many communities out there, whether it is a Slack or a LinkedIn or even the NASSCOM or the PMing. There are so many communities out there. Please go and register. You'll start getting a lot of content and then a lot of good content out there, right? That is one way to do it, right? And then what I do normally, what I have done and what I'm continuing to do it, I keep following great product managers out there in the world, whether it is Twitter or LinkedIn or Medium or whatever, because I keep learning signals from them, from those folks, right? To get better at what I'm doing. So that's one thing you can do. Let's say if you are a PM already, there are so many tools. There are tools around UX, how to get better at UX. There are tools like analytics. You can get better in analytics. There are tools where you can how to understand how to do user research, how to conduct user testing. There are tools like how to for example, you have to have a knowledge of deploying an app, writing a small app and deploying an app. You should have. There are too many tools around. Depending on what problem you're trying to solve, there are too many tools out there. Sorry, I didn't give a very specific answer, but there's so many tools out there for you, depending on which context you are in.
Thanks, Suman. Next question is how important is just in time today's market for product launch and product facilitation? Does this help in attaining competitive edge?
Just there's a strategy question. Just in time help, depending on which problem, which context you're solving. Just in time. Let's say you're a car manufacturer, right? Just in time work. So are you providing a customizable so that I can create my own car in just in time? Maybe market is not ready yet, right? But let's say I'm in a retail industry. I want to have a suit today, and can you create a just-in-time product? Yes, that's a wonderful idea. Creates a differentiation. Is market ready? Are you ready? I think those are the factors that play in. But there's a strategy question. It's a deeper conversation, Ankita.
All right. Akshay has a question for you. Have you seen pre-sales role transition into product management? What are the bridge areas?
Yeah. So I have seen folks from pre-sales moving into product. I have seen UX designer moving into product. I have seen operations people moving into product. I have seen project managers moving into product. Now, coming specifically to pre-sales, you being a pre-sales, you have a good understanding of that domain. You have a good understanding of that area specifically. You understand where is market heading. So I think it all depends on how you position yourself from here and how much serious are you about this role and how much time you can invest in yourself from now to get the role that you're aspiring for. So nothing stops you, I would say.
All right. I think with that question, it's it's time. It's already 3:30, so we are going to close this session. And Suman, thank you so much for your time and efforts for this amazing session. And I'm sure everyone out here, they must have learned something, and they actually now know that how they can transition into this amazing career path.
Thanks for calling me in, giving me this opportunity, and thanks for considering, and thanks for all listening. You have been a wonderful audience, a lot of excellent questions. Thank you.
And one more thing to all the audience, that I'm coming up with another interesting session on product technology on November 24th. I have given you the details over the chat window. And the third episode of the PM 101 series will be on November 26th. Registration links are there over the chat window. It will be by Shalini Shankarshana, Head International and Asset Management, Broadridge. So please stay tuned and listen to all our interesting sessions. And thank you so much for coming and taking part in this webinar. Thanks, everyone.